the Power BI, there's still time. But Excel, you know that you ought to have downloaded Excel. So I just want to assume that you've downloaded Excel already. So the first thing we are going to be doing is to check the Excel interface, the framework of Excel. So I'll be sharing my screen now, then going to Excel for you to see how Excel used to be at the start point when you open your Excel. And the reason why we are going through these basics is because we realize that there are some people that have to start from the basic aspect. So because of our brothers and sisters that they've not been able to use Excel very well, so we have to start from the basic aspect by introducing the interface that we have in Excel. So I'm going to share my screen now, then open my Excel so we can all see. So I want to believe that we can all see my screen. So then go to Excel. Then open Excel. I'm opening a fresh Excel sheet. So give it a time for it to open. Yeah, I have my Excel here. Now you can see that when you open your Excel, this is the first thing that it will be shown to you. You have the blank workbook, and the blank workbook is you opening your worksheet, that there is nothing there. That is, if you want to impute your data yourself, so you make use of that. So this is what you'll be seeing, and if you click on your blank workbook, you'll be seeing different things there, which is the worksheet. Now this is a workbook. There's a difference between workbook and worksheet. Now all this is a workbook, this is a worksheet, and this is a worksheet 1. I can see we have sheet 1, which you can also name it if you want to. Now if I just want to change this sheet 1 to, let me say I want to change it to another name, just to be able to differentiate those sheets, those worksheets, I can just double click it, and from there you can change it to anything. Do you get? But for now, let's leave it to sheet 1 that was there before, because I don't have any reason to change it. So this is a workbook that has just one sheet. I want you to listen very well, because these are the questions you meet in the interview. They might ask you for, okay, what, when you go to a data analyst interview, they're going to be interviewing it based on Excel. They can interview based on Power BI and all those things. But on Excel, most of them used to, because Excel is another way. You know, Excel can't take much data, but it can take some data that is enough for some organization. So they will want to know how your knowledge about Excel, because most of the time data analysis make use of Excel to clean their data. Though Power BI has a particular place where you can clean your data also, but Excel make it more effective to clean your data. So that is why you have to be able to differentiate the difference between a workbook and a worksheet. Now this is a workbook having just one worksheet, which is sheet 1. So if I'm going to add another worksheet to it, what I just have to do is to look at, you can see the plus here, click on it, and immediately it will change it, for it will give me another sheet. That is, we're having a workbook that is having what, 2 worksheets. Do you get now? So when you have all this, we can see that at the top here we're having our ribbon. This top here is called ribbon, and this top here help us to do some kind of manipulation in our data. So though we'll be checking some of these things as we move on, and you can see that this ribbon changes. You can see that here now is home, then if I change it to insert, it will give me other options. That is on insert. You can see chart, pie chart, pivot table, recommended table. If I go to page layout, it will also give me another one. You can see all these ones are ribbon. Do you get? And another thing I want you to know, I'm just trying to explain the interface, so when I start clicking on them, you will know what I'm actually doing. Now if you look at this side here, you can see that we're having minus and plus. Please just follow my cursor. We're having minus and plus. It just helps us to zoom in and zoom out. Do you get? If I should click on plus, if I click on plus or drag it, you can see that it's zoom in the data, and I can also bring it down also. You can see everything. Now all this is for us to be able to work perfectly with our data. Now on all these spaces here, they are called cells. You can see this one is called cells. All the spaces you are seeing here, we are called cells. I know these are basic things, but we have to go through them because all these basic things are the things they ask you, and most people fumble on this simple what will I call it, simple terms, and they fumble and they will look at you that okay, it seems you don't even know what you are doing. So all these are called cells. So whenever you put anything there, if I should put let me say I put discourse here, this discourse here, the what I've put here is what we call elements. So the discourse is the element inside the cell. Are you getting? The reason why I'm saying all this is to be practical. I can just write it and say okay, you just write your thing there. That is why I'm mentioning the terms. So when you see yourself in an organization and you are being asked, you'll be able to tell them that okay, this is an element that is in a cell. Now Excel make it very easier for us to be able to know the position of a cell, and that is why if you check the top here, you'll be seeing alphabet, and the side here, you'll be seeing numbers. Now if they should ask you that okay, discuss element is in what cell, you can easily trace it upward. We have H, and trace it to the side, which is the left side, you have 7. So I can say discuss is in the position of what, H7. And you have to know this because when it comes to referencing, when we start referencing some cells, you will need to, we make use of, most of the time we make use of all these things, H7, G5, G10. So if I should ask you that okay, if I should ask you to write something on K11, you should know that okay, K11 is around here. Are you seeing it? Because if you look up here, we're having K, and if you look at this side here, we're having 11. Are you getting? So all these cells are the things you fill yourself to make a data. So you can input data by yourself, and you can also like import data into your Excel. So there are two ways of bringing data into your Excel. There are two ways of bringing data. Now I want to delete this sheet 2. Now if I want to delete this sheet 2, because I only need just one sheet, if I want to delete this sheet, so what will I do? Just go there and click on the left key, then you see delete here, then you click on delete. You ask you, do you want to delete permanently? You said yes, and it will delete the second sheet. So we are left with just one sheet. So there are many ways to impute your data on a worksheet. There are two ways. The first one is importing the data, that is the particular data. Maybe you have the data on your Excel sheets, you have it on your let's say your drive on your laptop, then you just have to import it to your Excel software. And there's also imputing data yourself. You can also impute data yourself if you want to. And in the way of imputing data yourself, you have to just make sure that you type everything out. Do you get? And most of the time, so most of the time, all these things, you know, it is rare before you see, because the way technology has improved, it is rare before you see someone begin to input data one by one. There's a way you do it that whatever you do, the data is being recorded on the database. So there's something we call database. That is when you go further to go and learn SQL and so on and so forth. You get, when you go there to learn SQL, so those aspects you can easily do those things. I'm coming. I just have to add some people. I don't know why they are not added, because I place it on automatic. So some people are not. It's automatic, so they should be able to join. I don't know. They should be able to join. It's automatic. So now looking at this, we know now that okay, we have sheets, we have workbook, we have worksheet, which is sheet 1 and sheet 2. So another thing I want you to know, that if you want to import data from a particular Excel file, you just have to come to this side, file. When you come to file, you will see here that we have open. When you click on open will show you, you will see your OneDrive. That is when you are using a drive. You see this PC, add a place, and you see browse. You go to your browse, then immediately go to your browse, then you find where the document is, whether your document is in download or your document is in documents. If your file is in document, you look for it. If your file is in download, you look for it. So I'm using a particular file, so my own file is in PC, so I'll just go and look for it. documents, then I can just pick anyone. I can just pick anyone. Let me just pick anyone. Let me pick this and tap it, and you see open. So when you click on open, you allow it to load, then you have all your data. So we have all this data here. How did I do that? I just imported the data from my drive or from my storage file in my laptop. Do you get? And that is why I'm able to have all this data here. So if I have my data, then I can start doing analysis with it. So now another thing I want you to know is that when we talk about Excel, before you can properly make use of Excel, there are some commands you have to be very sure of. For example, now you have to allow Excel to know the kind of data you are imputing on a particular cell. Now if I should come here and put amount, if I click here and put amount, so now I come here and put two, then I go to this side, I put 2000, I put 2000, 200 rather, 300, I came here 700, then 400, 600. So as far as Excel is concerned, he is not seeing this as a like money. He's seeing it as okay, just a normal number. Do you get? Because if it is a monetary asset, like if it is money, it's supposed to have maybe the currency label, maybe it is dollar or naira. Do you get? So if you are dealing with amounts now, you just leave your data like this. Some of us, we used to do something, we say okay, let me just put by the side. Some of us, let me just put hash by the side, and then we know that this is naira. I'm not saying it's bad. Do you get? I'm not saying it's bad. Some people do it that way, but the best way to do this is to let Excel know that this particular column here must be filled with currency. Do you get? And how will I be able to do that? Now you will check here that on our home tab we have something here that we have general. We can see general here. So before I can let Excel know the kind of element that is in my cell. So what I will just have to do is just click on the column, and if you want to highlight all the columns, you just have to click on the alphabets and everything will be highlighted. Do you get? So I'm highlighting the specific column I want to give a particular description to. So Excel itself will be able to know that okay, this column is currency. Do you get? So you can see that here automatically we are having general, and when we talk about general, that is anything can go into that place. Do you get? Anything can go in. So if I should come here and click here, we can see that we are having general, we are having number, we are having currency, and I really want to make use of currency. What I will just do is I will just click on currency, and you can see that immediately I click on currency, it brings dollars. We can see that it introduced dollar to it, and obviously we are in Nigeria. So now that this is a dollar sign, you can change it to a naira sign or any other currency that you want to. Do you get? So you can easily just come at this downside. You can see the sign of a dollar here. You can click on the down button here. Then you go to more accounting formats. Immediately you click on more accounting formats, you allow it to load. It will bring out a particular table for you to choose. Do you get? And what you just do is just move to currency. When you move to currency, you can see symbol here. You can see the symbol here. Go to symbol. Then I'm looking for naira. You can just scroll down. You can scroll down. Excel make use of Hausa, Igbo, you get Yoruba. Anyone you picked, do you get? Anyone you picked is still naira. So let me just decide to pick. Okay, let me pick Igbo. Do you get? So I pick Igbo. I can actually change the decimal. I can see that this is in 2 decimal place. Okay, if I don't want it to show any decimal point or decimal number, I can just come here and press down to reduce it. Now I've reduced it to 0. Now since I've reduced it to 0, I can just click on OK, and immediately it has been converted to what? Naira. it means that any other numbers I'm placing here, if I place 450, if I should place 450 and enter, immediately Excel recognize that it is what? A currency, and it will introduce the naira sign to it. Now, that also happens when you talk about percentage. Let's say here now you want to put discount percent. You know, I'm doing this for those that see themselves in a place whereby you have to impute your data. So when you see yourself in a place whereby you have to impute your data, all these things really matters. Do you get? Now, if I want to do discount percentage or discount percent, you know some of us we just come here, put 100, then control shift, you put percent, or you put 10, control shift, you put what? Percent. So that is inappropriate. So if you want to do that, what you just have to do is to click on B and go to this percent and select what? Percentage. You get? So you can just come here and say, okay, 10, enter. It will introduce the percent for you. 15, enter. 12, enter, and you can see that immediately is introducing the percentage there. Are you getting? So it will introduce the percent to you immediately. Do you get? So another thing I want you to know is that, you know, there are some times that your Excel, your column is not that it does not occupy. For example, let me say I'm having this. Let me just bring it down here. Let's say it's like this. Let's say it's like this, and you can see that from here we can see that it's not really good, it's not appropriate this way, it's not neat. Why? Because this discount extended from column B to column C. So if you want to correct this, what you just have to do is to move your cursor to the edge of B, the right side, and immediately you see a cross sign. Then just double tap it and it will align everything into the page. So other things I just want you to know before we move to the main work for today is you can make this bold. You know, if you are making use of Word, if you make use of Microsoft Word, you will know that here is for you to bold a particular text. There is for interlink, here is to underline text. You want to give background, you make use of all this place. This one is for background. Let's say you want to give this heading a background. I can just asterisk and come here, then just give it a, let's say I can give it a, you can see the background I gave it now, then I can have my background here. You can do that also, and you can also introduce a boundary, like a boundary on every of your data, and you can do that by you can just come here and highlight all your data. Then you come here, you put borders to them. Now I want to put border around it. There are many types of border. You can put a bottom border, you can put a top border, left border. Then I want to put everything should have a border. I can just click here, and you can see that all my data is having what? A border. You can see that bit by bit is becoming very neat. You can see that everything is becoming very neat bit by bit, because one of the way for you to be able to present your data is to present it properly and very neat, so the person seeing your data will understand what you are actually doing. Do you get? So sorry, I think I make a mistake here. This is discount. All right, so we are, and that is it. You introduce border to it. Are you getting? So all this help us to make sure that our data is very neat and also presentable. That is why you have to know all these little functions. Now, for example, if I want to make this, you know, you can see that this particular data are all aligned to the left, to the right rather. If I want it to be aligned to the middle, I can do that. If I want it to align to the right, I can to the left, I can do that. But currently, it's aligned to the right side. I can just come here and just look for the middle align, and click here. Immediately I click here, everything will be aligned to the middle. Center. You can see that everything aligned to the middle. I can come here and do the same thing. Everything will be aligned to the what? To the middle. Do you get that? Is if you really want your data to be like that. If you don't want, you can align it to the left side or align it to the right side. Do you get? So another thing I want you to know is you can also merge two cells together. You can merge two cells together. Now when you merge two cells together, let's say, and why do we merge two cells together? Maybe you just want to give a particular cell, let's say you want to give a particular cell heading. So you just have to align like maybe two cells or four cells together and write something on it, then make it. Now for example, let's say here now, I can bring here and align these four cells and click merge. I'll just merge it. Then it's at the center. I'll just type okay, score table. You can see that this has become an heading. I can also put a background color for it. It has become an heading, and from here I can start doing all my normal data I want to do. Why am I doing this? Is for you to have a neat work before we go deeper into the main aspect. Do you get? So those are the things I want you to know for now, based on what you input on your data. Those are the things I want you to know. So now we are going to be opening one of our data for us to do some things there. So we'll be opening the first data that we have. So let's check it out. I'm not saving this. I just want to. Now again, I should quickly show you something before we move on. When you want to save a particular data, I just created this data and I want to save it. What you just have to do is to go here. You can see this line here, save, or you click on Ctrl S. If you click on Ctrl S, it will still bring you here. Then from here you name it. I can name it sheet example. Then I give it a location. So you just give it a location. Okay, I want it to be in a particular location. Then maybe I want it to be in download or document. If I click on download and save, it is already saved. Do you get? So that is how you can save your data. Now let's now move to a file so we can check some things there. I want to, one of the files that we are supposed to use, I want to bring it out. So I'm coming. And I believe that every one of us have the material already. We have the material already, so we can make use of this thing. Alright, so download. So I want to bring it closer so you can see all the Excel file there. Okay, then copy. You have to paste it somewhere close. Documents. All right, so all right, so we are good to go now. So I'm going to share my screen again, so I can upload a file. Then we check some functions that can be used for our data. Now looking for the Excel, I want to open a particular file from the material I sent to you. And I want to believe that you all have the material. So now I want to open this particular file. Let me open this and let's see. Open. I want to open two at a time, so we can just work on that together so as not to. Then we have browse. Then now we have our data. Everything is being open now. We have all our data here. Now the first function I will want us to understand is the function we call the sum function, then the average function, the minimum function, and the maximum functions. Do you get? Now before we move to that, there's something I want you to know, that we have profit here, this data, we have other IDs and other data. We have other ID, customer names, the profit made through all the data, and the sales. Go and open other profit sales data on your system. You see that, open it and you'll be seeing this, so you can follow up. Now if I want to do the summation of all this, I want to know the sum of the profits. What will I have to do? The first thing you do is to introduce equals to. You know, sum is a function. You introduce equals to, then you click on sum, and immediately you type sum. Excel have a way of bringing, like, predicting what you are trying to do, and we can see sum over here. I click on sum, and what will I do? The next thing I'm going to do is to highlight. I want to check the, let me see, I want to check the sum of profits. So what I'll just do is to highlight everything on the profit. Now the first thing you do is put your cursor here on C2. When I say C2, you understand. Then place your hand on Control and Shift. Control Shift. Let your hand, don't leave it. Then you click, you press down, your down arrow. Immediately you press your down arrow, it will highlight everything. It will highlight everything. Then I go back to my, I can just come here. You can see that. And another thing you should know is that you can see that from here, because the thing scrolled down, I could not see where I'm writing my my function. So I have only two ways to complete the function. Either I scroll up, or I just go to this place. You can see this particular line is where all your functions is being shown. Because I'm really writing this particular function, I can continue the function from this top. I don't have to go up again. I'll just continue it from this top and close the bracket, then click enter. So immediately you click enter, you can see that I can see that the total profit that is here is 37113. That is 37,113. I can also do that for total sales. Do you get? What you just have to do, place your equals to, you place your equals to, then sum, you double tap your sum, then bring your cursor to this place, which is D2. Hold on Control and Shift, Control Shift and down. Then you come to this place and close your bracket. And immediately you close your bracket, click enter. It will show you again sum of what? Profit. So from here I can have my sum of profit here, sum of profit here, and over here I have my sum of sales. I have my sum of sales here. I have my sum of sales here. So now I want to check the minimum profits. The minimum profits. Now if I want to look for the minimum profit, you do the same thing that we have been doing, which is you introduce minus, equals to rather, and come to this profit, Control Shift down. Okay, there's a mistake here. I didn't put minimum. You put your minimum, which is MIN. So the Control Shift is down already, and Control close. Then I have my minimum. I have my minimum profit. My minimum profit is minus 50. You can see that from here I can just easily know, okay, if they should ask me that, okay, what's our minimum profit for the year? I can just do this and get it, instead of me starting to scroll and see the lowest amount that is there. We can see that at that particular period there's actually a loss there. So I can do maximum profit also. Then you come here, what you just have to do, maximum profits. To check your maximum profits, you can come here and put your equals to. You put your equals to. So when you put your equals to, you make sure that you have your max, which is maximum. Excel as usual knows what you want. Then from here you Control Shift and down. Then you close it. You close it and enter. And from here you have your maximum profit. Do you get? So all this you can do that for sales also by yourself. With this example, you can do that by yourself. So I don't want to do for sales. So because I know with the same method I use for maximum, you should be able to do that yourself. So now let's go to something we call count. So there's something that is known as count in Excel, and we can make use of count to actually know the amount of data we are having. Do you get? And count can be used for many ways. We have different type of count. We have count itself, we have count blank, we have count A, and we have count if. Are you getting? Now let's go there and see what we can do from there. Now let's say I want to make use of count. I can come here and say, okay, count. I'm using count now. So I can just come here. The first thing you introduce is your equals to, then count. Excel know what you are looking for, and immediately you put it there. So you click on count, and you come to this number, Control Shift down, the way we used to do it. Then you close it, you close your bracket, and you enter. Immediately you'll be having three. You're not seeing my screen again. Okay, let's see. Please, are you seeing my screen? Is it the only one not seeing it, or everyone? Please let me know. Oh. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, what of now? Hope you can see it now. Can you see it now? Hello, can you see my screen now? Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm coming. I want to check what is actually wrong. Why you can't see my screen? Okay. Okay. All right. So can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen now? All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see.
All right. All right. So going back to the count, now I will have to explain count again. I want to know the amount of data that is there. That is the actual reason why I want to do count. Now from here we can see that the first thing I have to introduce is equals to, then count, and Excel will bring it out for you. Then I can easily come here and Control Shift down. then go back to this place and close it, then enter. Now we can see that from this data it's showing that I have 300 rows, that is 300 data. You can see it's showing me that I have 300 data. Now do you know that if I should make use of this count, you know, I make use of this count for numbers, that is why it could show me 300. But if I should do it for like for customer name, which is alphabet, it will not show me. For example, let's say I put equals to and I click on count. So I go to the name, I go here, Control Shift down, come in, count, COUN. So click on count, then I come to this. Let me just put another name. Okay. So if I should click on count, and instead of doing this numeric, you know, profit is numeric, and I go to this side and press Ctrl Shift down, which is alphabets. Are you getting? Which are names, and I close the data and enter. You see that something will happen here. You see that it's giving me 0. And why is it giving me 0? This count only work on numbers. It does not work on names. Anything that you have alphabets does not work on it. It only work on numbers. So when you have that kind of issue, what are you supposed to do? That is where you introduce count A. There's something we call count A. Count A help you to count the alphabet. Now if I'm going to use count A, so I'm going to use count A now. From here, introduce your equals to, then click on your count. You can see that count A is here. So immediately I click on count A, I'll go back to my data and drop it down and come back here, then close it, and you can see that it worked. Abi, we are having 300. Now we have count A, and there's something we call count blank. Now for example, let's say, let me just come to this side and remove here. From here, let me just remove some things. Let me clear this particular data, clear content. And now you know, for now I want to check the amount of blank space that is in my data. Now that is where we make use of count blank, because I want to check, okay, how many place that is not being filled up. Now from here you just have to introduce equals to, then click on count blank. I can see count blank there. Then I just come to this place and Control Shift down. Then from here, then close and enter. Now it's showing 0 because count blank only happens for when it is, what's it called? When it is number, not for not for alphabets. Are you getting? It only happens for numbers and not for alphabets. So let's see. Okay, let's make use of count blank now. Let me clear this up and clear some aspect also in number. Let me clear this aspect out of number. Yeah, let me clear content and come here again and introduce it back. Come here, then you click on your equals to, then count blank. Then from here, Control Shift down and you close your data. Click enter. Let's check it out. It shows it's still showing 0. So why is it showing that? Okay, save. Oh, all right, it didn't count everything down. That's the issue here. It didn't count everything down, so you have to do this, bring it down, and you click on down again. You get, because there's a space, so it will lag a little. Then let me put my enter. It's going to show the space now, and it's showing that I have 8 space on the blank, 8 blank space. Let's go and count our space. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 blank space. So if you're having many blank space, it is possible for the blank space not to be together. The blank space might be in a separate place. Do you get? But yet you can still make use of count blank to know how many space is blank out of your data. That is for count. And there's another one that we call
Hello, sir. We can hardly hear you, and we can't see your screen anymore.
oh.
Besides, the video remains 7 minutes to end.
To end. Okay, okay, I'm going to send a new this thing to the Excel, so you can join from there. I'm going to send a new all right, I will send a new link now, so we can join from that link. I'm sending it now, so you can join from that link. All right, so I've shared, so I just shared a link now to the group, so we can join that link. We can leave this and join that link, so we can continue from there. We can leave this link and join the other link from there, so we can continue from there. Okay, all right, so can we continue now? So I talked about the count blank, and what count blank actually do is just to help us to know the blank space that we have in our data. So when you're having a particular blank space in your data, it's not a must. The example I give, all the blank space are together. Do you get? So don't expect the blank space to always be together. So you might come across a situation whereby the blank space are in different places. If you still make use of the normal this thing, is if you still make use of count blank space, count blank is still going to work. It's still going to work. Do you get? When you make use of that, it's still going to work. So another one I want us to check is what we call count if. Now I want us to check count if. How do you make use of count if? Now count if is bringing out now a condition. Do you get? Now there's now a condition. When you are making use of count if, I want to have a condition. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and whereby we are going to make use of that condition and see. So I'm sharing it now. Please, if you cannot see my screen or you cannot hear me, please voice out so I can do something about it, please. There's no how I can know if you are seeing my screen or not from here. So please, if you are not seeing my screen or you are not hearing me, please do well to notify me. Thank you. So we can see from here now that if I go to this, let me go to where the Excel I'm working with. So I think this is what I'm working with. Yeah. So now we've done count blank. Now there's something we call count if. Now count if is that you are now giving an instruction that okay, count when so thing happen. Are you getting? That is, if something should happen, that is what you should count for me. I don't want you to count everything. It's like you talking to Excel to do something for you. For example, let me just go to count. So if you go to count now, count if, I'm using of count if. So if you come to this place now, for example, and we have to make use of equals to first, then count if. Count if. We have count ifs, we have count if. So we are still coming to if. You might not understand count ifs now, because I'm not going to take you count ifs. I'm not going to take you count ifs except I've explained if function and ifs function. Now there are some of us that if you are using old version of Excel, you will not see ifs in your function. Do you get? But if you don't have ifs in your functions, don't worry, you don't have problem with that. Just know it, then whenever you are able to get any other version, you will be able to make use of it. Do you get? So ifs is just in some new version of Excel. So if you are using the old version, you might not see if. So I'm making use of count if. So if I click on count if, now I want him to count all the profits. Remember, I want him to count all the profits. You will realize that in my profits there are some elements that is having minus. Any element that is having minus is obviously talking about loss, right? Now I want to know how many days or how many times do we have profit. That is count if. So there's some if, there's some if, there's a minimum if, there's minimum if, and there's maximum if. Are you getting? All those maximum if is available, minimum if is available, but I just want to start with count if. We are still going to minimum if, maximum if, and some if. Do you get? But that will be later. But I want to check count if. So how do we do count if? Count if is that okay, I'm counting everything, but I need some specific aspects. Now if I want to count how many profits, how many times have we made profits, how many times, that is, I have to do away with the one that has minus, right? I want to check how many times have I made profits. So what will I do? The first thing I will do, I use my function count if, then I place my cursor here on the profits. I use my count if. Okay, there's a noise in the background. Let me just, I don't know, let me unmute the person. Let me mute the person. Sorry. All right, sorry for that. I just mute the person so we can continue with that video. So now we have count if. So what am I going to do is I go to the profit and shift then down. Are you getting? So now you will not stop there. Now there is something I want you to note whenever you are writing function in Excel. Listen very well. Whenever you are writing any function in Excel has a way of giving you something here. You will see that it has told you that okay, range and criteria. Are you getting? You are having range and criteria. Now you have given it a range, then there's a criteria you want it to meet. Now the criteria, now I can just put okay equals to, then I don't want anything less than 0. I don't want it to be there. Anything less than 0 is loss. So I don't want you to count anything less than 0 for me. I want to know how many times you've made profits. So I don't want anything lesser than 0. What will I do? I just introduce, can see, then less than. So I want the ones that are greater than 0. I get that is what I need. So anything less than 0, I don't want it. So I've indicate greater than 0. So it will only show me things that are greater than 0. So anything less than 0 will not be there. Then I click on enter. Now from this data I can see that only 50. So I made, how many times do we make profit? We made profit 50 times. Are you getting? And that is because I've chosen like count if it is greater than what? 0. So if anything is greater than 0, that is what we want. But when it is less than 0, we don't want it. Are you getting? We don't want it. Now, for example, okay, there's an error here because of the space that is here. So it didn't count everything. So whenever there's a space in your Excel, there will always be a break. Are you getting? Whenever there's space in your Excel, there will always be a break. There's a space in your Excel. So what you just have to do, let me fill the space, and so we can do the listing appropriately. I just want to fill the space. I think we have 3 more space. Let me just fill the space. All right. I'm filling the space. So whenever you have space in Excel, there will also always be a break when you do control. All this control, there will always be a break. Now let's go back to the count if now and reload it. That means we are changing this aspect. And we are still making use of the profits. We are still making use of the profit down. Now it highlighted everything. Then enter. Now that means we have only made profit 254 times, and we know we have 300 data there. We have only made profits only 254 times. Are you getting? Now if I want to check, okay, what of loss, how many have I made loss? No, you can easily calculate that by yourself. But if you still want to use a formula to calculate it, you just have to make use of still count if. Are you getting? Make use of still count if then click on it. But this time around, after strolling through everything, you just close, you put a comma, then you do this. Then are you seeing it? Then you put less than. So this time around we want when it's those ones that are less than, right? Less than 0. That is what we are in need of. Then you press, then enter. So how many are we having there? We're having 45. Are you getting? We're having 45 that are what? That are less than. So from here we can see that means there's a particular one that is 0. There's actually a particular one that is 0 out of everything. So from there we can see that particular one is 0 there. So that is why when we use count if, we are able to see now that okay, we can easily make use of our count if to know the criteria of what we are looking for in the data. So from there I want to show us something from the second data. Now look at this data here. Let's do something from this data here. Now from this data here we are talking about commission and total sales. Now I'm going to explain something to us, and I want you to listen very well. Now the first thing is that commission most time is based on percentage of sales. Like commission is based on percentage of sales, right? Now there's a place of referencing in a data. Now we have 3 types of referencing. Please, I want you to listen very well. Okay, I'm coming. Some people are trying to get in, but okay, let me see if there's someone that is unable to get in. I'm sorry for this. I just want to be sure if there's anyone that's okay. I see your hand. Tester Taiwo, you are raising up your hand. Don't worry, there will be a room for question. I just want to do the main point, then we can now ask our question. Now looking at this data, well, I want to teach us referencing, then we now move further from that referencing, because all this aspect is what we'll be touching, is what you are supposed to know before we move on to the more rigorous aspect of Excel. Now, when we talk about commission, commission is always a percentage of a particular sales, right? Now, let me create another space, another column at the middle of sales and commission. And how will I do that? If you want to create a space between sales amount and commission, you can easily just right click and insert. Immediately to create a space there. So I want to do something. I want to write commission percent. Are you getting? So maybe the commission percentage, let me put coming just for me not to take much space. That is the commission percent. Now I have my commission percent here, and I want to check commission. And commission is always the percentage. There's a particular percentage you'll be given. That means the organization will give you a particular percentage. Then the percentage of that sales will be your commission. Now, for example, let's say the company decided that okay, the first thing I'm going to do, let me just convert this to percentage, the way I taught you the first time, so that Excel will be able to recognize that okay, whatever you put here is actually percentage. So now let's say the company gives you like 10%. I think 10% is 10% for every sales. Your commission will be 10% from every sale. And I put 10 here. Coming. Then I put 10. I'm having 10 here, which is the 10%, right? Now, how will I look for my commission? I just have to do equals to, right? Equals to, then my sales commission, right? Now, if I'm going to make my sales commission, then I have to make use of times. I'm sorry, I have to make use of a particular keyboard here, so it can make it very easy for me to quickly navigate some things. Alright, so I have to make use of D2, that is the sales amount, which I have the sales amount already. Then another thing I'll be looking for is to add the multiplication table. And whenever you are making use of multiplication, you use your star, which is control shift 8. You can see that is my multiplication. Abi, I'm multiplying it with this 10%, right? And I enter. I'm having 250 of the commission. Are you getting? Now, I only did for this for Veronica, but I want to do for Catherine, Samuel, Peter. Now I can't just come here. You know, on a norms, there's a way that I have to do it, that I have to, before I can do for them also, before I can do for Veronica, Catherine, Samuel, Peter, I have to make sure that everything here is 10%. Abi, I have to put the 10% here. So I'll be putting 10% for all my data. Are you getting? So if I put 10% on all my data, what I just have to do is to come here and go down here. You can see you draw your cursor to the last edge of your right, at your right, the down edge of your right, until it's showing a dark plus. Then you can just double tap it. When you double tap it, it will do the same thing it did for the first one, the same function it did for the first one. It will do it for everything. But now imagine that I don't have any 10% here. I don't put anything here. Just imagine that I didn't put anything here. If I didn't put anything here, let's say I just let me clear. If I do what I just did here, it will show 0 0. And why is it showing 0 0? There's no 10% here. Are you getting? But that is not an effective way of referencing. What we just did now is what we call relative referencing. Now, relative references, it means that relative references is that I must make sure that the 10% is everywhere here before I can find the commission. If the 10% is not everywhere here, I cannot find the commission, because it is what? Relative. I'm making use of relative referencing. And for this particular work, for this particular assignment that we want to do, I say we cannot make use of what's it called? Relative references. So even though if I want to make use of it, it's going to take more time, because though I can easily copy and paste all the 10, or just if I come here and double click also, if I double click from this black, it will put all the 10% actually. Do you get? But that is not what I'm actually looking for. because there are some things you will want to do, especially when we go to conditional formatting. In conditional formatting, there is a situation whereby you need mixed referencing and absolute referencing. So we are still going to conditional formatting, but I'm just trying to take us bit by bit before we get to the place that we have to do all. So I'm taking you all this before for you to understand when we get there. So whenever I'm making use of absolute referencing, I'm making use of relative referencing, or I'm making use of mixed referencing, you don't get confused. You understand what I'm trying to do. So now I've made use of mixed reference. Now let's assume that I delete this away from, I just removed it. Let me delete it, and I still can see that immediately everything writes ref, hash ref, which I don't need all those things. I can just come here and clear it. Let me just clear it, clear content. Now do you know that I can easily do this thing by just coming to this place and put commission percent, put commission percent, and come to this side. Just make sure that Excel will know that it's percentage, and put 10% and leave it this way, and come here. I'll just come here, the commission I'll just write equals to, then 250 times, that is shift 8, that is your star. I bring it to this place, 10. Are you getting? Then I enter. It will show me the 250. But if I decide to do what I just did, like dragging it down or just double tapping, making use of that plus, it will still show me 00. Why? Because I have not converted K4. You can see that K4, the 10% is at cell K4. When I say cell K4, you understand what I'm saying. So now I have not converted cell K4 to absolute referencing. Do you get? So what I need is to convert it first to absolute referencing, and most of the time some people don't use absolute referencing. They make use of lock it. They say, okay, lock that cell. You know, they make use of that. They say, oh yeah, lock the cell. You have to lock the cell. Some people make use of that term. When they tell you when you are being told to lock a cell, what they actually mean is that you should make use of absolute referencing. So they are still saying the same thing. When you are told, just lock that cell, if you lock the cell, you'll be able to do. And what do you mean by lock the cell? What I mean by lock the cell is that when I lock this K4, everything here will be applied to K4. Everything here will be applied to K4. Now let's give it a try. Now if I come back to my format, I will come to this K. If I want to lock K4, there's actually a very short cut for you to lock a particular cell. You make use of F4, but it is possible for you to press F4 on your own laptop and you will be unable to lock the cell, especially if you are making use of Apple laptop. F4 might not work for you. Do you get? But if F4 is not working for you, just introduce $sign to the right side and $sign to the left side. Do you get? Introduce $sign to the right side and $sign to the left side. But for me, I can make use of K4. If I just click on K4, it will introduce it for me. It will just do it straight away for me. But if you use K4, if you use F4, if I just click on F4, it will do it for me. But if you use F4 and you realize that the $sign is not introduced, just introduce the $sign yourself. Are you getting? Then enter. Now if I now bring it down, if I now apply it to everything, you see that everything will work very well now, because I've made use of absolute referencing. Are you getting? So I've made use of absolute referencing. There's another thing we call mixed referencing. So I'll be giving you the example of mixed referencing when we go to conditional formatting, because mixed referencing cannot be applied to this particular data. I cannot apply mixed referencing to this particular data. Do you get? So at this point now, you can see that so actually total salary will now be, your total salary will be normal. You can do equals to total salary equals to, you can do this, or you can use sum also. You can do this, then you put your plus sign plus this plus commission to get your total salary, which you can do yourself. So you can do that yourself to get your total salary, which is also plus or can make use of plus. You get the normal arithmetic na plus. Can make use of minus in Excel, your normal arithmetic. Can make use of those ones in Excel. So for now, I'm making use of, I want to add it together, which is plus, right? So what I'll just do is come here and click on salary, then plus commission. Are you getting? And enter. We're having, that is your total salary. You know your total salary is your salary and your commission. Then you bring it down here and you have this. So this total, average, highest, lowest count, I will leave you to do that yourself. You know how to do total. That is your total is your sum, obviously. Are you getting? When I say do total, your total is your sum. Average is mean, median, mode. You get? So if you want to make use of average, I think I didn't teach you average. You just click equals to and put your average. It will bring out your average. When you bring out the average, you double click it and you just highlight down. Then you close and enter, and you have your average. So the average is 1,700. Do you get? The highest is maximum, the lowest is minimum. Then you do your count. This one is the normal count, apart from the count A, count if, count blank that we've done so far. So you can do those ones now. So am I too fast? I'm very sure I'm not too fast, because all these things are the base, and the reason why I'm going through all this is for those that don't know anything about Excel, just to take them the basics of Excel before we continue. Do you get? So before we move on, any question? Before we move to the next part, if you have any question, let me know now. Before we move on, any question, just raise up your hand, then you can ask your question. Just raise up your hand, can have your and ask your question. So I want to believe there is no question, so I can continue now. Okay, someone is raising up his hand. You can speak, sir. Can unmute yourself and speak. Yeah, unmute yourself and speak. Mr. Ferdinand, can unmute yourself and speak. You are raising up your hand. Unmute and speak. Okay.
Okay, yes. Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. My question is where you give us absolute reference.
Hmm.
So maybe when you are summarizing the lecture, I would like for you to go back again, because you need to give us absolute difference between the relative reference, misreference, and absolute. So that when we apply it, we know when we have to apply absolute. Because your explanation, you just give us absolute, tell us that we are going to go to meet. But I would like a situation whereby we would like to categorize these three references.
Okay.
To have good understanding. Thank you.
All right. Okay, let me quickly do that. So when we talk about absolute referencing and relative referencing, for absolute referencing, before you can apply, you know, the example I make use of commission percentage, which is 10%. And if I'm going to apply commission, like a commission percentage to a salary, I have to make sure that all the 10% is in the data. That was when I did this. I just come here, let me insert, and I begin to introduce 10% to everything here. I think I came here and I introduced 10%. You can say I introduced 10% to everything here. And I call it commission percent. I call it commission percent. Alright, now I introduce 10%, and if I'm going to do any calculation, I have to reference each of these commission, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, which will be strenuous sometimes, because if I'm having more data, if I'm having like 300 data, I have to introduce that 10%. And you will notice that whenever you are using relative referencing, there's no need for you to lock your data. Are you getting? You don't have to lock a particular cell. But if I decide that, okay, this 10% is too much, I just want to write the 10% here and apply it to all my data. Do you get? I'm applying all the 10% from, I want to make use of just one 10% and apply it to all every of my data. That is when you have to make use of absolute referencing, and that is when you have to lock that particular cell that consists the element, which is 10%. And I told you that whenever you want to lock it, you make use of F4, or you introduce dollar at the right side of the alphabet and at the left side of the alphabet, and which you can see the same thing we did here. You can see that a dollar has been introduced to the left side and the right side. And when are we to use absolute referencing and relative referencing? When you can use absolute referencing, you can also use relative referencing. It depends on you. But for your work to be more easier, you make use of absolute referencing. Because for you to make use of relative referencing, you have to make sure that you impute the same amount of 10% you want, the same amount of data, 10%. You just be writing 10%, 10%, 10%. If you're having 300 data, you have to write 10%, 300 times. Instead of you writing it once and just lock it, that is absolute. So you can use the two of them in every situation. Do you get? But I will prefer that, okay, whenever you have a large, the only time you can use relative referencing is that if the commission is not the same. Are you getting? If commission for Veronica is different from commission for catering, that's commission percentage. Maybe there are many we that you are working, there's a way that you have HR, and the kind of, based on your bargaining power, two people might be working in the same department and having the same role, and they will be having different salary. This one is due to their bargaining power, right? It is possible. So in that kind of situation, they will be having different salary, though they are having the same role. So in a process whereby Veronica has different commission sales due to her own bargaining power, Catherine also have a different commission sales due to her own bargaining power. Sammy also has the same thing. Peter different. Everything is different. Then you cannot use absolute referencing at all. What you have to use is relative referencing, because all of them are having different commission percent. They are having different commission percent. Do you get? So if you are working in a company that does that, do you get that only that gives salary or determine commission based on bargaining power of their marketer or marketing department or marketer or their staffs, then you can make use of relative referencing. But if their commission is the same, make sure you make use of absolute referencing. Have to make use of absolute referencing. Do you get? Do you understand now? Mr. Ferdinand? Do you understand me now, Mr. Ferdinand?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, thank you. All right, so let's. Yeah, okay, thank you, sir. Okay, let's continue. Now, there's another thing I want us to check before we round up the class. I want us to check a little bit of if function. Are you getting? Want to check if functions now? So, and if function is a conditional function. So before that, let me show you. I want to show you a particular aspect of Excel that I will wish that you know. So in this Excel, you will see a place called formula. You can see formula here. When you click on formula, there is a place here where we call insert functions, right? If you go to insert functions, you can see that you're having sum, average, and everything is always there. Are you getting? So, and there's another place that you have to know. You have logic. You can see that on logic, if and ifs is under logical function. When we talk about if is a logical question, is a logical function. If this is this should be this, that should be that. Abi, if this is this, put this. If that is that, put this. Else, if nothing, some of, if you are in, especially where those that deals with programming language, they make use of if for a logical. If this is this, do this. Else, do that. Do you get? So Excel also do the same thing. You make use of if for some things in Excel. So you can make use of if function in Excel. Are you getting? So now I'm going to use another data for that. We have this data, just keep all this data. I want to use data 3. Let's go to data 3. I'm going to upload data 3 now, and I'm going to use data 3 for the if functions. So we are going to do if function, we are going to do nested if. I'm going to explain those ones, and ifs. Do you get? Now I told you that ifs might not be in your old Excel. If your Excel is the old version, you might not see ifs there. Do you get? So but if can still do, if and ifs are doing the same thing but in different way. Ifs is making your work more easier and very straightforward, but if, when you are making use of multiple if, you have to use nested if. But when it is ifs, you don't need to use nested ifs, you just use normal if. So let me browse it out and bring out the third data. We're making use of this data, then open, and we have our data here. Right, these are data here. So now in this data here, we're having employment name, we're having salary, we're having job rating, and we're having bonus. I want to make use of these functions here. Please, I want you to listen very well. I want you to listen very well, because this is one of the functions that gives, and remember, we are still going to VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and so on. So these are the functions that give. So now, for if functions, let's start with the normal if function. Let's leave the nested if. The normal if, I told you first that if functions is a logical function. If function is a logical function. So I'm making use of if function now to check some rating. Let's say, for example, the bonus I want to be giving my employees. Let's say I'm the owner of this particular company. I want to be giving them bonus based on their job rating. Are you getting? So I want to give them bonus based on their job rating. So I'll be giving them bonus based on their job rating. Are you getting? So now, if I'm going to do that, I have to make use of if function. It is, I cannot be looking at, okay, let's say for example, I decide that anyone that has one job rating should have let's say 200. 200 is too small. Let's say $200. You understand when I say $200? Anyone that has four, anyone that have two rather, should have 300. What do you say? You can't hear me? Okay, please, if you can't hear me, let me know, please. If you know you can't hear me, just let me know, so I will not just be speaking to her. So now you will check here now that now I want to give them $300. If it is 3 rating, let's say 3 will be $400. Then 4 will be $500. Then I think the last one should be 5. What do you say? You are hearing us? You are hearing me now, right? Okay. So now this is what I'm trying.
We can hear you now. Go
All
ahead.
right. So now you can see here now that the bonus I want to be giving them is based on their rating. If you are being rate 1, I'll give you 200. If you are being rate 2, 300. If you are being rate 3, I'll give you 400. If you are being rate 4, I'll give you 500. And if you are being rate 5, I'll give you what? Do you get? Now, how will I do this? If I want to do this now, I will have to make use of if function. And the first thing you introduce here is your equals to. Introduce equals to. So when you introduce equals to, you type your if, and Excel will bring it for you. Now, I told you before that there is something that is very important when you are making use of function, and that is whenever you type a particular function, Excel have a way to bring those functions, how you can input those functions at the bottom of your cell. You can see that here. Sorry, you can see that here. That at the bottom of the cell, there's a way you can impute that particular function. Now, logical text. If listen to, if this, are you seeing it, is equals to 1, Listen o, I want you to follow me o. Then I want you to give it 200. Are you getting? You can see that I'm following it. The logical test is saying that okay, if C2 is equals to 1, the value if true, if this C2, if this logical test is true, are you getting me? If this C2 is equals to 1, if it is true, please, I'm telling Excel, give me 200. Do you get? Now, but if it is false, I put another comma. You can see that it say value is false. If the value is false, please put 0. Put what? 0. I put what? 0. Then I close my brackets. Sorry, what did I just do? Okay, I think I cancelled it. Okay, let me do it again. Then if this function is equals to 1 comma, give me 200, then comma, else if it is not there, please give me 0, then close it and enter, and it gives me 200. Right now, if I should come to this place and double tap it the way I taught you, you see that every other number is 00, but anyone that has 1, it gives it what? 200, based on the function. Do you get? But this is not our goal. Our goal is that anyone that has 1, give it 200. Anyone that has 2, give it 300. Anyone that has 3, give it 400. Anyone that has 4, give it 500. Oh, and anyone that has 5, sorry about this, give it 600. That is our goal, you know. Now, but the first one we just did, we only did for 1. That is where nested if comes in. You can see that on this one we only use 1 if. So when you are having many logical texts, then that is when you make use of nested if. That is, you will be having if inside if inside if. Do you get? But if you are making use of ifs, there is no need for that. But as I told you earlier on, that it is not all Excel, it's only the current one that has ifs. Now let's now do that. Now if I come here now I've done this, I will remove this 0. I will introduce another if. If I introduce another if, I will not get the if that if this particular alphabet is equals to 2, you put your comma, give it what? 300. Give it 300. Are you seeing it? I put my equals to again. I will put another if, that's nested if. You can see that I'm putting if now. If is joining if. I'll put another if this is equals to 3, you put your comma again. I want it to show 400. You put your comma again. You put another if. You put another if. Then I do it again. If this is equals to 4, comma, then show me what's that? That will show me 500, right? Show me 500, comma. Then I'll put another if again. Is that comma? No, that's not comma. I'll put another if again, which is the last if. I'll put another if again. If this function again is giving me 5, then comma, put 600. Now I'll now put this thing then after that I've done all the necessary if. Else, I get him. Else, if you don't have anything, just put 0. So we don't have any else. Now you will make sure that you close this, you close your function the amount of things you've opened, right? And you can see that even excel help you, you put color there, so you can be able to know how many you have to close. Now looking here, we have to have like close bracket of 1 2 3 4, because we've opened 5 brackets. That means you have to close 5 times, abi 1 2 3 4 5, then you close it 5 times. Sorry, 2 3, then 5, this 4, then 5. Now I've closed everything. Now if I click enter, now I click enter, it's giving me 200, right? Now let me double tap. Now you can see what happened there. Anywhere there's 4, it gives me 500. Anywhere there is 5, it gives me 600. Anywhere there is, and if you don't have anything, it's not giving me anything. Do you get? Because I don't have anything. If you don't have any of these 5, it will not give you anything. Do you get? Now that is if nested. Are you getting? That is if nested. Now, do you know that it is not only number you can use? It is not only number you can use. You can also use words. Maybe 1, you want to put bad in 1. When it is 2, you want to put okay, good. When it is 3, very good. When it is 4, excellent. When it is 5, you put another. You can make use of what you just have to do is to change this 600 to alphabet that you want. Now what to do for this, let's say I want to change, I don't want to use all this, I just want to change it to normal word. But what the difference between them is that because you are making use of string, you have to introduce this, then you put your word. Let's say I want to put bad. If you're having just one written, it is what? Bad. I decide to do that. I will come here again, do the same thing, clear this 300, nested if, clear this 300, let's put fair. Let me use fair. I'll use fair. Let me use fair. So I'm using fair now. Then I come here again. Then I'm going to edit this. Then I'll put let me put good. Actually, I can use good here. I'll put good here. Then I'll come to this place again. Then I can put let's see, let me put very good, very good, very good. Let me put very good. Then I can come here also and put excellent. Put excellent. I can put excellent and close. I can put excellent. Offline. Okay, so sorry about that. I didn't know that I was. So sorry about that. I didn't know that I was off of this thing. So okay, so sorry about that. I didn't know that I was off of this thing. Where did I stop? Where did you guys were able to catch? Where? Please, where did I stop, please? Anyone? Where did I stop? Where did you? So I can start from there. Where did this thing went off? Please, where does it went off? Can anyone tell?
The if function.
Okay, was I able to complete it?
No.
No.
When you weren't, you didn't complete the if function.
Okay, at all. All right. Let's go back to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Now we have 30 minutes to go. We have 30 minutes to go.
Yeah. I know about that. Okay. For the if functions, were you there when I did the 400, 200, 400, 500, and 600?
We did not do explain when you were doing that.
Yeah, you were there when I did that, right?
Yes, but we didn't understand what you were doing.
Okay. Let's do it again. Now, don't worry. I have to do it again. Let me clear it. Let me clear everything again. Now I'm going to do if functions again. If function again. Now I told you that if function is is a logical function. Do you get? Now if I'm going to
Sorry, please, I can't see you.
okay. All right, I told you that if function is a logical function. You get? And that is you are telling the examiner that okay, if this should happen, do this. If this should happen, do this. So if this is true, do this. If this is true, do this. But else, that is when we say else, that is if it is false, do this. Are you getting? So and I said you introduce if function equals to then if, and we can see if functions here. Now what's the aim? What I just want to do is that anyone that has 1, I want to give the person bonus of 200. Anyone that has the rate of 2, I want to give the person bonus of 300. Anyone that has the rate of 3, 400, and so on and so forth. I can't be looking for 1 up and down and be putting to 200. They'll be looking for 3 up and down. It's going to take my time, especially when you are dealing with a very large data. Do you get? Now that is why we have to introduce if function to it. Now and I told us that okay, if you are going to introduce if functions, if you are only having just one logical test, you use only one if functions. But if you are having multiple logical tests, you have to make use of nested if. And you can see that from this our example here, we are having multiple logical tests. Now for a single logical test, I just have to do this. After I put my if function, then open bracket, you can see that Excel has shown me what I'm supposed to do here. What is our logical test? Our logical test is that if this is equals to 1, do you get? So it's now asking us that the next one is value if true. Okay, what value should I show? What should I put here in this cell? If C2 is actually equals to 1, what am I supposed to put? Now I'm not telling Excel that okay, whenever you see C2 equals to 1, please put 200. Now I'm not telling Excel that else if C2 is not equals to 1, if you did not see, if you see any other thing and C2 is not equals to 1, please help me to put 0. That is else. I can see value if false. You can see here that Excel is writing value if false. Then I close the data and enter. This is for one logical text. And from here, if I should double click it like this, you will see that every other one that is except 1 is having 0. Only the one with 1 is having 200. That is a single logical test. But our aim of this is to make sure that 4 is having 500, 3 is having 400, 2 is having 300, and 5 is having 600. That is what we are looking for. We are not looking for only one. So we are having multiple logical tests. In that kind of scenario, what are we supposed to do? That is when we introduce what we call nested if. Now on nested if, this is what you have to do. Let me click on that 200 again, and let me continue the function. Now whenever I put value if true and I put my comma, I have to introduce if function again. So that means we'll be having if inside if. So when I introduce another if function, I do the same thing again, but at this point I put the next logical test. Now the next logical test will now be if c2 is equals to 2. That is the second logical test. And what is the value if the second logical test is true? If the second logical test is true, please give me 300. Now I'm still going forward, I'm not true, so I cannot give it else because I still have more logical tests. Do you get? Now I put my comma and introduce another if for the third logical test. So I put the third logical test, I put the logical test again. If c2 is equals to, if it is equals to 3, please put what is the value if true, put 400. Are you getting? Then we are not through with the logical text. We have to go into the fourth logical test. That is, we have to introduce another if. Now I will introduce another if and come here and put the if. Are you getting? Then when I introduce another if, I will give him another function, another logical text, which is the fourth logical test, which is when the c2 is equals to, now this time around, 4. I want you to show me what? Show me 5. Give me 500. Now we are not true. Remain the last logical test. You know, we are doing multiple logical tests, and this in this essence just 5 logical tests. Now we come again, put comma, then you put your if again. Then when you put your if again, you are you getting? Then you put if c2 is equals to again. If it is equals to 5, give me 600. Now you now put else. Now okay, if all these logical tests did not happen, if all these logical tests did not happen, what should I put? You can decide and say, okay, if all these logical tests did not happen, just put no job rating. Okay, let me do that. Put your apostrophe, then you put no job. When you put your quotation mark, no job rating, put your no job rating, then put a space, put your no job rating, then you put the close the quotation mark, you close it, then you close your brackets, then you click enter. So okay, sorry, I didn't close it well. Now remember I said something that whenever you are closing, you should make sure that the amount of bracket that you have opened is what you will close. How many brackets have we opened? We have opened 5 brackets. That means you have to close 5. This is the first one. Let's close the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and the fifth one. Right? That is 5. Abi? Then you click on enter. Now I've done that. Then I double tap it for it to apply for the whole data. Now you can see that it has applied for the whole data. Now anywhere there is 1, there is 200. Anywhere there is 4, there is 500. And remember I put else. Let me change this 1. Let me change this 1 to 0. Let me change it to 0 and click enter. What will you put? It's putting what? No job rating. Why? Because I said apart from this logical test I have given you, if you are having anything except of that, it is a no job rating. Do you get? So if I come back again and put my 3 and put my 2, it will change again to 300 because 2 is what? Is 300. That is for nested if. And I said something that the reason why you are using nested if the reason why you are using nested if is that when you don't have ifs function, you know, I told you there's a difference between if and ifs. Ifs is the one that have s after ifs. Are you getting? So in the ifs function, you don't need the nested if. Do you get? You don't need the nested ifs. You can just work with the normal ifs, so there will not need for the nested if. But if you are using a old version and you don't have your ifs function there, then you don't have any choice than using nested if. Do you understand? Any question on this? Any question on this? If you have any question, please let me know. Any question?
Excuse me, sir.
All right.
The one you just did now. Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
The one he did now is called if confirm. This one he did now is
If
not nested.
is nested if. That is why we are having if inside if. You can see that we are having if inside if. Are you getting? So whenever the reason why we the reason why we use nested if is when we are having multiple logical tests. Are you getting? So when you are having like 5 4 2 logical tests, you make use of nested if. But if you are using if function, even though you are having many multiple logical tests, you don't have to use nested if. You don't have to be putting if inside if inside if. You can see that what we were doing, we were putting if inside if inside if inside if, and that can be confusing or it can be strenuous. Do you get? And we are doing if inside if. Do you get? But we can actually use the simple ifs to do it without making use of nested if. But I just want you to know nested if, because if I get to a place that they are not using the updated version of Excel, they are using the old version, so you just have to make use of the particular material that you have been given. So you just have to know how to also do that when you are giving such assessment. Do you understand, sir? All right. Any other question on that? Any other question on that?
We have 2 minutes to go.
2 minutes, right? All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, we have 2 minutes or so, and all right. I think let's just end it here. Then we continue tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be having like ifs function. I'm still going to make use of that. Then I'll show you how to make use of ifs function when you don't have this thing. I'll show you how to make use of ifs function when you don't have your when you are not using the updated version of Excel. So you can just make use of ifs function to check your work. Do you get? But for now, you can make use of that nested if whenever you're having a problem like that. All right. So all right, no problem. So if you tomorrow we continue, we start from ifs function, then we move further to other functions as God will be helping us. So do have a wonderful night, everyone. So we are going to be ending this class on this note. So thank you so much for attending the class. See you tomorrow. Bye.